Yeah, see, now I know the movie. See, is that right?
No.
All right, wait a minute. I gotta go straight up.
Extend your arms.
Yeah, keep your arms straight. Keep your arms straight.
There you go. Oh, shit.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get my arms like Paul.
That's over right there. Yeah, that'll hook up your back.
Yeah.
That'll hook up your chest.
What, are you recording? Are you recording? Huh? Don't record this.
All right. Every day, y'all. Every day. So, we're here in my basement. We're trying to turn this into an exercise room. But this is the perfect place to talk about the first habit that I've observed working for Oprah and Enver. It's Oprah Winfrey and Enver Ugel. And that habit is investing in yourself. Now, this seems like a simple concept, right? Invest in yourself, it makes sense. But think about it from the billionaire standpoint. These are people who have already achieved what we consider to be excellence. So why is it that they continue to invest in themselves? Now, when I worked for Oprah, what was really interesting is right around the time that I met her, this is when Instagram was really becoming popular. And she decided to hire a team of people. So she hired a social media expert to come in and specifically teach her how to use social media, teach her how to post on Instagram and what people would like on Instagram. A matter of fact, if you notice, most of the content that Oprah posts on Instagram is of her garden. And I think that's because she saw that that was the type of content that most resonated. This was around 2010. And this is when Instagram and a lot of the social media platforms were really becoming popular. Now, if I had Oprah money in 2010, I would have hired a team of people to run all of my social media. I wouldn't have touched it. I would have, been busy doing other things. But Oprah decided to have a team come in and specifically teach her on how to run her social media account, right? How to effectively use it. And we know that social media is more about listening than anything. So they taught her how to use social media to listen, what content to post, and why. And I thought this was fascinating that someone at Oprah's status would be posting herself and responding to comments herself. She invested in herself to learn social media, in particular Instagram. Now, Enver Ugel, last year I had one of the biggest honors in my life when he invited me to a UN awards dinner. He was receiving an award and he gave the entire speech in English.
Thank you very much for honoring me. I would like to accept this award on behalf of all educators.
Now, this is a man who is Turkish and he's been speaking Turkish his entire life. But what I found out is that over the last year, he has been studying English. Now, he is a billionaire. He's already made millions of dollars in the US and billions of dollars in other countries. He didn't need to learn English, but he did it anyway. He invested in himself. The point here is that I've noticed that billionaires routinely invest in themselves, and they invest large amounts of time in themselves. Now think about this. How much time do you invest in yourself? I have a 5-year-old son and I also have a 2-year-old son. And I was thinking that at 5 and 2, both of my little guys, probably half their day is spent learning something new. But by the time we get older and we go to college and then we graduate, we become professionals and we know it all, we spend less and less and less. And some of us spend no time in our lives investing back in ourselves. And so I want you to ask yourself right now, think about the last week of your life. How much of that week, how many hours were spent investing in a skill, either a new skill or perfecting a skill? Really think about that. Hit pause, right? Write it down. Now, you want to know what most billionaires do? When I worked for Oprah and I worked for Enver, I believe they spent about one third of their week investing in themselves, right? 1/3 of their week. I'm not just talking about free time, I'm talking about total time. That's how much time they spent investing in themselves. And I'm not saying for you to do the same, but we must invest in ourselves. So how do we develop these habits? Now, what I watched, what I observed working for Oprah and Enver was that it was really interesting. They spent most of their time investing in skills that allowed them to be more effective communicators. I mean, think about the Oprah story. She invested in Instagram, being able to communicate out content. Enver Yücel, learning English, being able to communicate through a different language. I've noticed that they spend a disproportionate amount of their available time on communication, and I believe that's because the most effective leaders in the world are all effective communicators. So that's one thing to bear in mind when we're trying to develop the habit. The other thing is a very, very important lesson. I think a lot of us get this wrong when we're trying to develop our own skills. So imagine if you have a skill that you are great at, you have a skill that you are good at, you have a skill that you are mediocre at, and then you have a skill that you are bad at. How many hours of your week should you be allocating to each one of those skills? Now, most people will answer that question and say that they would spend the majority of their time probably in the great area and then less in the other areas. Or they would say they would spend the majority of their time in the bad area and then less in the other areas. What billionaires do, and I saw Enver and Oprah do this routinely, is they would take all of their time and they would focus it in on just the category that they are good at, right? Not the category that they're great at, not mediocre, not bad, only the category that they are good at. Now, why is this? I believe this is the case because if you're great at a skill, you're already great at that skill, right? If you're good at the skill, that means with attention to detail and time, energy, and effort, you can become great at that. If you are mediocre at a skill, chances are, no matter how much time you put into that skill, the best you'll become is good. And if you are bad at something, then what smart money does, what these billionaires do, is they delegate it out. So think about that when you're developing the habit of investing in yourself. Invest disproportionately in communication, in building up effective communication. And then secondly, look at the skills that you're already good at and put all of your time into that. First skill, the first habit that billionaires have is investing in yourself. And even though it sounds common to invest in yourself, always remember this. The moment you stop investing in yourself is the moment you've written off all future dividends in your life.